don't have to be religious to notice it. Right now, everywhere you look, people are talking about the end times. Wars, climate anxiety, technology exploding, the world feeling like it's moving faster than we can keep up. And a lot of people are genuinely scared. But what if the Bible's most apocalyptic books, like Enoch and Revelation, were never meant to make us panic? What if they were written to help us understand how humanity moves through massive change? Today, I want to show you a different way to read these texts. One that doesn't lead to fear, but actually gives us hope and reminds us we still have time to grow, heal, and shape what comes next. Why end times conversations happen. Every generation that lives through big change starts to feel like they might be living at the end of something. Because when systems feel unstable, politically, socially, spiritually, the human mind reaches for stories to explain what's happening. That's what apocalyptic language is. It's not just prediction, it's meaning making during uncertainty. And the ancient writers of text, like Enoch and Revelation, lived in times that felt just as chaotic as ours. So instead of asking, are these books predicting our destruction? A more helpful question is, what pattern were they trying to describe? When you zoom out, the biblical story forms a cycle. Genesis shows humanity in harmony. Enoch describes what happens when that harmony breaks. Revelation describes renewal. So the arc is order, disorder, reorder. And that's not just a religious idea. It's a pattern you see in nature, in history, even in personal growth. Things stabilize. They drift out of balance. Then they reorganize into something new. So right away, this tells us the end language isn't necessarily about annihilation. It's about transition. Enoch, the story of imbalance. The book of Enoch is famous for its story of the Watchers, these heavenly beings who descend and disrupt the world. But symbolically, the story reads like a reflection on what happens when power is misused and humanity loses alignment with natural order. It's a mythic way of saying something went off track. You can interpret that psychologically, socially, or spiritually. Enoch himself became the observer, the one who sees the bigger picture. So the message of Enoch isn't really be afraid of supernatural beings. It's pay attention when imbalance grows. Awareness is the first step toward correction. Revelation, the language of transformation. Now, when people hear Revelation, they often think destruction, chaos, catastrophe. But apocalyptic literature is symbolic by nature. The four horsemen, They represent forces that reshape societies: conflict, scarcity, upheaval, mortality. The dragon, a universal symbol of chaos and fear. And then at the end, you don't get extinction, you get renewal, a new heaven, a new earth, a restored harmony. That's the key most people miss. The book ends in healing, not annihilation. So Revelation isn't just a warning, it's a promise that transformation leads somewhere. Why this matters right now. We're living in a time of massive transition. Technology is reshaping how we live. Old institutions are losing trust. People are questioning everything. Of course, it feels intense. But intensity doesn't automatically mean doom. It often means birth. When you read these ancient texts symbolically, they don't say everything ends and there's nothing you can do. They say when systems break down, new possibilities open, and human consciousness evolves through the process. Here's the perspective I've come to that feels both honest and grounding. We are not standing at the edge of extinction. We are standing in the middle of a transition. And transitions are messy, but they also give us something incredibly important: time. Time to heal generational wounds, time to rethink how we treat each other, time to build a world that's more aligned with compassion and truth. If the apocalyptic text teach anything, it's that collapse is never the final chapter. Renewal is. So, if you've been feeling that sense that something big is happening, you're not wrong. But it doesn't have to lead you into fear. It can lead you into awareness. Because the real message behind these ancient writings might simply be this: the end of an era isn't the end of hope. It's the beginning of responsibility. We're not here just to survive change. We're here to participate in what comes next. And that means we still have time to grow, to heal, and to choose the kind of world we want to help create. If this perspective gave you a little more peace or a new way to look at these texts, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what resonated. And if you want more conversation like this that explores spirituality without fear, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And until next time, be blessed. Namaste.